Am I wrong for telling my sister she should have shaved before my engagement party? I, female 27, got engaged recently. We had the engagement party at a restaurant. It was paid by my future mother-in-law. My sister, 22 female, came with my parents. She is the type that lives by the body positivity concept, which is more than okay, but she tends to put me in situations where I find myself having to deal with people's reactions. I'll explain what I mean in a minute. She came to the party wearing a dress above the knee. My future mother-in-law and the other woman were staring at her legs constantly. Mother-in-law then pulled me aside and pointed out my sister's leg hair. I was completely baffled and quite shocked. She said it made her and other women feel uneasy and weirded out. I said I was sorry for how they felt and tried to stay calm, but I was mad from the inside. The woman continued to stare and my sister acted like everything was fine. I honestly felt like she caused disruption to the party. I brought it up with her later and told her about what the guests felt about her unshaved legs. She kept chewing her gum while completely acting like it was nothing. She said my future in-law women need to chill. I told her this was unacceptable and that she should have shaved before coming since it was my event and I had to deal with the looks and disruption from the women. My parents told me to get off her back and leave her alone. Then they left. My mom is now telling me to apologize for upsetting my sister after she came to share my happy moments. I told this to my fiance and he just kept laughing and making comments about us being ridiculous. Am I wrong here? I feel like she disrespected me and my guests. I honestly think this is not a big deal. If guys show their legs and they have hair, there's nothing wrong with it, but when a girl does it, it's considered gross. Explain that to me. Why? Why is that considered gross? My husband's ex-girlfriend is dying. Her last wish is to be with my husband. As the title goes, my 30 female husband's ex-girlfriend 33 female was recently diagnosed with late-stage breast cancer and her last wish is to be with my husband 35 male. My husband, let's call him Seb, and his ex Tanya became best friends after their breakup a couple of years ago due to her infidelity. They were together for 5 years. Needless to say, they remained in contact even before he met me. I would be lying if I said it never made me feel uncomfortable even once. It did and it still does because Tanya is still in love with my husband. She never denied it and in fact would even call or message me when she couldn't get a hold of Seb. Aside from cancer, she also has some mental health issues, thus my husband would always tell me to be kind and patient. Seb is no longer in love with her, of course. She cheated and Seb swore that he will never get back to her and that he only sees her as family. 2 weeks ago, my husband received a call from Tanya to tell him about the sad news. My husband cried with her and told her everything is going to be okay. They were on the phone the whole day. I forgot to mention that Seb and I moved to Australia a few months ago because of my job and Tanya is in Canada. They mostly talk via long distance calls or WhatsApp. They've been in contact almost every day since we left, which always bothers me, but what can I do? After that call, my husband told me everything. To be honest, I felt bad for her and I genuinely feel sad. I asked him what's going to happen now. Seb told me he's going back to Canada, which is a shock. Then he told me that her last wish was to be with him. I didn't see anything except, what about me? He said if I can't leave my job, then he's going to visit me whenever he gets the chance. I walked out without saying anything. Wait. This is your husband? And he's leaving you to go spend time with a dying woman. Wait, that doesn't make sense. I have been avoiding my husband since the phone call and I've been ignoring him whenever he tries to bring up the conversation. Yesterday, I found out that he already bought a ticket and is flying back home in January. I feel like he's abandoning me, but at the same time, I feel that I'm selfish for hating both of them. I'm honestly thinking of getting a divorce because obviously he's choosing her over me, but at the same time, I thought of why my husband is so attached to her. Seb considered Tanya and her family like his own as he doesn't have one. She's probably like a sister to him now. No, you don't sleep with your sister. Don't give me that bullshit. But Tanya doesn't feel the same. She's madly in love with my husband and him granting her wish will surely make her think they still have a chance. My entire life, I've been putting others first. I've been very patient and understanding about their weird relationship. I feel sick, confused. I want to call her, yell at her for ruining my marriage, for trying to steal my husband from me, for using her sickness to get what she wants, for being a bitch. I'm so mad at both of them. What did I do to deserve this? Am I wrong for making my ex a birthday cake, even though his girlfriend told me she had already ordered one? I'm an amateur baker and I like to make cakes for people for their birthdays. My ex doesn't like sweet stuff, but our kids like helping me make a cake for him, so I normally make one for him anyway for their sakes. This year, his girlfriend planned a party for him and she told me that she had already ordered him a cake, so I didn't need to make one. I told her that was fine, but when my daughter kept asking me when we would make her dad's cake and was upset when I said we wouldn't because she assumed I didn't like my ex and that's why I wouldn't make him one. Since the cake has always been more for the kids than for my ex, I decided to just make him a small one since it's not like he eats cake anyway and I don't want my kids to think I dislike their dad. I told his girlfriend beforehand that I was going to make a small cake and she told me not to and that I couldn't bring it to the party. I told her I had to bring it to the party as that's when the kids would give him his gifts. I offered to come early and give it to him before the other guests arrived and then they could put it away and nobody else would know about my cake, but she didn't agree with me and repeatedly told me not to bring it. I did take it with me in the end and now she keeps complaining to mutual friends that I did it on purpose to ruin the party and calling me weird for making him a cake after I was told not to. So am I the asshole? Am I wrong for not inviting my little brother to my wedding and not telling him until the day before? I, 26 female, just got married a couple of weeks ago in Norway. It was amazing. From the start, my fiance and I knew we wanted a child-free wedding, nobody under 21, as we both find children and tweens very annoying, but we provided childcare for the little kids. Here's the problem. I have two siblings much younger than me, my full sister who's 15 and my half-brother who's 14. My half-brother is the result of an affair my mom had while my dad was away for work, which caused their divorce. My fiance and I decided to make an exception for my sister because we are both close with her and she's a very mature 15-year-old. My mom had figured neither were invited and that they would stay at the hotel for the day, and she was fine with it since they were together. When we told her it was just my brother not invited, she was pissed and sad. He can't stay here alone. I said he could stay with the kids, all under 10 unfortunately, and she told us we could do whatever, but we had to tell him the news. We decided not to tell him until the day before to avoid any major drama during the weeks leading up to it. When we told him, he threw a fit. I said this is why he wasn't invited and left. The wedding day went amazing. When I got back from my honeymoon, I was met with angry texts and voicemails from my mom's family. Half of them didn't even go. Apparently, my mom spilled the beans to my aunt and she told everybody. So, am I the asshole? Am I wrong for refusing to put my fiancé on the house title after he kept handing me empty pens as a prank? I, 34 female, have been with my fiancé, 37 male, for 3 years, getting married before the end of this year and recently moved in the house that I inherited from my mom. The house is in my name and it took a lot of talking and convincing from him to have his name on the title as well. Now, honestly, part of me doesn't think this is a good idea, at least not right now, maybe after marriage. But anyway, I've decided to go ahead and put his name on the title so he could go ahead and start contributing towards the mortgage more and lighten my burden a little bit. We've made appointments, decided on which form of ownership we were basing this on. When it was time for me to sign the deed, my fiancé stopped me and gave me a pen saying this pen was his lucky pen and told me to use it to sign the deed. I took it and tried to sign, but turned out it was empty. He was like, "Oh, I must have forgotten," while laughing, and then pulled out his other lucky pen. I took it, tried to sign, and that one too was empty. Honestly, seeing how he was laughing, I figured he was messing with me, but he swore he wasn't and pulled out another one of his lucky pens. I tried that one too and it was empty. My fiancé started cackling and I felt humiliated, especially with how the gentleman next to him was staring. I got pissed and asked him what that was about, and he said that it was a prank. I asked, "Really? Do you really think this was a time for a prank?" He was like, "It's alright, you can use a real pen now." I pushed the paper away and said, "You know what? Never mind, because I no longer want you on the deed." He lost it completely, saying we had a deal and I can't back out just like that, and that it was a stupid joke that I took too seriously. We had an argument and I refused to sign the deed, at least not then and there. At home, he blew up again, saying I was the one who delayed the process and that he already gave me a real pen and all I had to do was sign the damn paper and get it over with. He accused me of looking for an excuse not to have him on the deed and started the silent treatment, saying there's nothing to say until those papers are signed. Did I really take it too seriously? I decided with my wife's agreement that because we now have a biological son, it is better to give the firstborn bio son the family name. Am I the asshole for changing my adopted son's name back to his original birth name after my bio son was born? Pregnancy and birth was kind of a miracle. So for background, my name is 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗲𝗀𝗃. My name goes back 5 generations now and has always been my plan to make my son 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗲𝗀𝗃. Well, wife and I were horrified to find out I was essentially firing blanks and was told I would essentially never be able to father kids. Heartbreaking. We started the adoption process right away, looking in mostly foreign countries so it would go faster, and we were able to adopt a baby boy from Vietnam. His first name was Tien, but my wife agreed to change his name to 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗲𝗃. We also agreed we would let nature take its course because miracles can happen. We always called Tien by his birth name, so did family, school, church, etc., even though his legal name was my name. Well, 7 years later, a miracle did happen, and my wife turned up unexpectedly pregnant. We have a healthy, beautiful, amazing biological son who we love just as obviously much as we love Tien. We like a biological son, like the fact that you keep referring to him as bio son, just a lot of red flags right there. Like when you adopt a kid, like you shouldn't bio or not, like that's your kid now. I decided with my wife's agreement that because we now have a biological son, it is better to give the firstborn bio son the family name. We have gone through the procedures to get Tien's name legally changed, and our bio son has 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗲𝗃 on his birth certificate. Tien doesn't understand or care. To him, it was a fun day, and he liked playing with the judge's gavel. We didn't really tell anyone, but we had to tell the school. Somehow, word got out from the busybody at the school and made it back to Tien's soccer team, and we are now essentially social pariahs at the subject of massive gossip. R-word, 𝘃 supremacists, accusations of not loving Tien enough. We've heard it all through closed mouths and hushed tones. It's gotten so bad we are considering moving Tien to a new team, but his 3 best friends play on the team and he would be heartbroken. Am I the asshole here? Yeah, you for sure are. You can't use your child as a placeholder. And when you adopted him, you should have looked at him as your son regardless of biological or not. To carry on your family name bullshit. Oh my god. In other words, he claims to predict the future. Am I the asshole for refusing to give my boyfriend a percentage of my raise just because he predicted it? Okay, this might sound kind of, but let me explain. I, 32 female, have been with my boyfriend, 35 male, for 7 years. He has what he calls supernatural ability, and that is to dream about things or events before they take place. In other words, he claims to predict the future. He once talked about seeing me getting a new car in his dream, and in 2 months' time, I bought a new car that I was saving for. Another example, he told me about seeing a new friend coming into my life in this dream. Turns out he was talking about the dog I adopted in July. Basically, events that weren't so surprising. Now, I've got a raise at work, around 40% after working my ass off for 6+ years with this company. I was happy because now I get to renovate parts of the house I've always wanted to. And when I told my boyfriend, he told me to set aside a percentage of the money for him. I was so confused and I asked why, and he said it was because he already dreamed about me getting a raise and predicted this event before it happened. I said, I don't know, since I don't recall he ever told me. He got upset and said that the reason he didn't tell me was because how I kept making fun of his abilities and that I could go ask his friends and they'll confirm that he did in fact see this coming. I said I was sorry, but this seemed illogical and unreasonable of him. I refused to give him any money and he flipped out and called me ungrateful and claimed that I was turning my back on the people who helped me in a way to get this raise. I'm just like trying to understand, like, let's say you did predict it. I don't understand why you need any of her money. That makes absolutely no sense. It's not like she won the lottery and you predicted the lottery numbers. It's her job, okay? Like, why? I don't understand. Not gonna lie, I kind of laughed at the absurdity of this, but he got even more offended and said that I can't blame him for not telling me after I kept mocking him like that. I refused and said that no way in hell was I going to give him any percentage and would rather save the extra money for renovation work around the house. We had an argument and he left to be with his friends, who later got involved and said that the way I treat my boyfriend and his incredible prediction ability was appalling and out of line. They said he wasn't asking for much and I should consider it. What? I don't like. He just saying, okay, I predict you will get a raise in the future. He didn't contribute to that at all. Did he help her at all with the work? Does he work with her? Does he have anything to do with her managers and stuff like that? You predicted. Let's say you did. It's not because of you she got the raise. It's because of her hard work. I don't understand. And this guy's 35. It's not like he's a little ass kid talking like this. Like, he's a grown adult. Like, why are you?